Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce our special guest today, Danita, a former correctional officer with, I believe she worked like 8 months with the Southwood State Men Correctional Prison.
Yes.
Throughout her career, Danita has played a vital role in maintaining safety and security, as well as supporting rehabilitation efforts within the correctional system. Her firsthand experiences and unique perspective have provided her with deep insights into the challenges and rewards of working in corrections. Today, she will share her journey, the lessons she has learned, and her thoughts on the current state and future of the correctional system. Danita, man, I'm so glad to have you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now,
Thank you.
I want y'all to know that Danita is a former correctional officer with the Southwood State Prison. She worked there 8 months. She's no longer there due to a tragic accident that happened on October the 26th, 2017. For
Yeah.
further details of that story, go to my podcast channel, which is at Launch Into the Deep. If you want to hear that story, what happened, go to my podcast at Launch Into the Deep, and you'll hear the full story of what happened to Danita on that October 26, 2017, that day, which changed everything for her. A little mistake changed her life from being a correctional officer to being an inmate, but we're not going to talk about that. We want to talk about her being a correctional officer now. Go to my other YouTube page at Launch Into the Deep if you want to hear the full story about what happened as far as her going from an officer to an inmate. All right, I got some questions for you. Well, you can go ahead on and tell them a little bit about yourself so they can get acquainted with you.
I'm 38. Actually, I'll be 39 tomorrow. Tomorrow's my birthday. I lived in a two-parent home, have brothers, sisters. My brother passed away, but I have an older sister and a twin sister. And we're a middle-class family. We were a middle-class family growing up. I was a good student athlete, played basketball, 1,000-point scorer, scholarship, go D1 with West Virginia Tech, got my college degree, came out, had a regular job, and was just trying to find my niche, trying to find my career after I graduated, college and education. And I found that I started to work at my old high school, where I graduated from. I worked in education, and then someone had said to me, like, you should apply to be a correctional officer. And I was like, all right, I'll give it a try because it was a good career and they paid well. So, I went to give that a try. And that's how I ended up in the law enforcement, on the law enforcement side, from education, switching to law enforcement.
Danita, can you tell us about your role and responsibilities at the Male Correction Institution?
I was a CEO. I just had to let them know what they had to do, whatever duties they had to do. But when you're in there, you're assigned different things. So they actually made my job easier because they knew what to do. All I had to do was just watch and make sure that they were doing what they were supposed to do. So I just, maintained the inmates and just made sure that they were doing everything that they were supposed to do, and nothing more than what they were supposed to do.
I want to talk about the institutional differences. What are the main differences you've noticed between the male and female correctional institutions? I know that you were the officer at the male's institution, but
Mhm.
you've served time as an inmate at the female institution. What are the differences that you can pretty much point out?
The males seem to be pretty much they seem like to be pretty much on course. Like they came and did their job and did what they're supposed to do, and whatever. Like females, they were more catty. It just seemed like it was always like some drama, and everybody was blaming everybody for something. Like it was drama, definitely drama. Women, too many in one spot became drama.
How do the security measures differ between the two institutions?
Um, I feel like it's pretty much the same, to be honest. I don't really think there was a big difference. Um, with the males, I could see that the officers would try to be more strict, but I think it's because you have to they wanted to establish that dominance, because they are males. You don't really feel like you probably have to do that with females. You have to keep them in order, but males, you wanna let them know like who's in charge or so.
Yeah, because by nature, men gonna try to lead.
Yeah, so that's exactly
Oh
how
yeah.
that, that's how I look at it.
So Donita, do you think that um there's a difference in the rehabilitation programs offered for men and women?
I didn't really, I wasn't there long enough to know exactly everything that the men had to do or was set up, but I do know they do the same thing as women. Like they have like parole dates and everything. So it's pretty much in that aspect the same. But I wasn't there long enough to really find out exactly how things were done on the male aspect opposed, to the women to really compare them, so to say.
So how do interactions between staff and inmates differ in male versus female institutions?
When I was working there, just being a female and from what they were saying, like, she's attractive or whatever, like I could tell that they were trying to try me, and that because they're going to try you and see, if you're going to slip up. But I'm not losing my job over my career over nothing stupid. So that didn't matter. But the males, they going to slick talk, they going to try you, they going to sit back, they going to watch. And the women, they did the same thing too. Like, you went there, you watching people's both parties. You watching people's actions, you watching people's routines. They trying to pick up on what people do every day because, like I said, like, being in prison is a structure is already structured. So they're picking up and trying to pick up on and seeing what that they're doing, but their interaction, like the women, the males, the women, they were nicer to women. They were nicer to women. I feel like they were nicer to women because I would see like our officers when I was working, they would pick on the males and say like mean things to them or just reckless, ruthless things to them, and like the inmate could just walking the midline, and they're like down on them and stuff. Like I've seen other officers, male officers, do that with the female prison. When I was in there as an inmate, I didn't see them actually like seeming like they were attacking them as much, like or at all for that matter. So it looks like in the male prison, like they kind of like it almost seemed like a bully tactic to maybe to try to establish that dominance, let them know like who's in charge, and maybe to belittle them. I didn't like that. I never liked that. Like I wasn't a part of that crowd, to be honest. And I watched them do it, and I guess you could say I was wrong because like I didn't say like yo like don't do that, but I know I didn't like it though. I didn't like how they did that. Like you don't have to pick on
I
people because
I think it's a tactic they use to break them down mentally.
yeah
Because with men they can take more as far as physically,
right
and
yes
it's going to take a lot to break a man down physically because
yeah
he's mentally charged here to be the head. So if they can
right
get him here to break him down here and get in his head, then they know that the body will follow. They can get
that
him to,
yeah exactly.
do what he need to do.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I think that too, for real.
What is the medical like there? Looking at how medical was with the women, and then looking, being something happened with the guys. What's medical like? What's the comparison with that?
Um, being that when I went to prison, I was, disabled.
Right.
They didn't have a lot of handicap accessibility for the females. They didn't have a lot of things that would help us in in that area. But it seemed like for men, they had different things. Like they were able and capable to do whatever they needed to be do, whether they could walk or whether they were in a wheelchair. Females in our prison, we didn't have much of that. And maybe because it's not a lot of females that was in the prison system that were disabled. Because I did see that it was a lot more men. Like it was like a wing full of men that had disabilities. So it seemed like it was more um more things to help them, opposed to the women. They didn't really have anything to really help us in the medical side.
Let me ask you this. Like when there was an issue in the dorm, do you feel like the men would come together more so than the women would? Like when
Um,
it came to standing up for certain rights and rules and regulations and stuff that, cause sometimes now the officers be coming with some crazy rules.
mhm.
And the men I heard would take a stance like, nah, man, y'all gonna do
We're
this,
not.
then we not gonna
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. Um, the men were more sturdy with that. The women, if the officer tells the woman, like, do this, then they just more so just like, all right, like this just has to be done. Men, more so try to stay in their ground, like, man, I ain't listening to that. Like, that's not what we doing. That's not what we doing. And they would stand and not do it. But the women, I don't know if we are more nervous or scared or just don't know the unknown or what could possibly happen next and don't want to worry about or deal with whatever's going to happen next, that kept them from all sticking together. But the men were more sturdy in that, in like their togetherness, opposed to the women.
Well, see, the thing with women, again, by nature, we are programmed to submit. A
Right.
woman, by nature, she's gonna submit a little bit more so to something than a guy would. That's
And then
why
the guy.
the Bible says she's the weaker vessel, because
Mhm.
she'll submit
Right, right, right,
when the man is programmed biblically to be the head, stand his
right.
ground.
That makes right, right, right.
That's why I couldn't stand it when they would take certain things from us and the girls would not fight. I was one of those, I guess I was like the men, because I was like, man, I'm not going to work. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
If I can find about five more people or two or three or more gathered together,
Uh
we
huh.
can do it.
Right,
But they be
right,
so scared. Everybody, man, I'm going home. Y'all got life sentences, man. Let's do it.
right, right,
Y'all
right,
ain't going
right,
no home. Come on.
right.
I'm going home. Y'all ain't going no home. So what differences did you see in the menus? Like, do they have the same menu? Do the guys eat better now? Don't tell me they eat better than the females now.
I think both of the menus look nasty to me. Just one of them I had to deal with. But being in the female prison, they definitely like whipped up, well, because I was in there and had to really be in the thick of it. So I seen a lot of things like being whipped up and taking this and doing that. I didn't see a lot of the men doing as much as the women. I'm not saying that they don't, because when you're in there for a long time, you figure things out and you start making these meals out of nothing. But me not being there as long, like I didn't really see a lot of the men that they just like take their trays and go back. When the women take their trays, now they have whatever they have in commissary and was like, all right, we're gonna take this sausage, we're gonna cut this up, we're gonna cut this up with the card, we're
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
take
yeah.
this and do this. Like, what I mean? I'm just like, the survival mode was crazy. I'm like, you're about to cut up something with your card? Like it was fascinating though. It was fascinating to me. Like I just the things they did to operate and deal with like everyday life, because you can't have knives. You can't have these different things. So you use what you could do or to try to make things work for whatever you're trying to do. And I thought that was cool. I thought that was cool.
It's in a woman's nature to take
Yeah.
whatever and make that a meal for the
Right,
house.
right, right.
So they
To
know how
figure
to
it
take
out.
that
To
sausage
figure it out.
and put it in
Right,
some soup and stretch it
right,
and feed the whole back bunk area.
right, right.
That's what women do.
And and they'll put everything together. Like everybody have different things. Like, all right, this person has that. This person has that. This person has that. And it'll make a big meal. Or they'll have a loaf. Everybody has something that they put in the loaf, and then the loaf be big. And then at the end, like everybody that put something in the loaf, now you getting a slice of the loaf, and now everybody is eating. Now everybody just ate just for putting like one thing in, and
Hey,
it was.
I bet when you used to see the guys making all that food, you probably used to be like, what in the world are they doing, until you actually got the experience and taste some of that stuff. That stuff be on point though, don't it?
It do. It's one time I was like, not too long ago, I was like, dang, I want a prison like taco bowl. Like they used to make these taco bowls. It was so good. And I'm like, I ain't saying I want to go back to prison, but I do want one of them bowls. It be it's amazing. It's so
But
just
Danita,
worth it.
you got to be real about it. It is something about making that prison food that you acquire taste for that ain't nothing like out here can touch it.
Nope,
I
it's
don't know what
not.
it is. I be wanting tater tots and all that prison stuff.
You know what's crazy? They had these ramen noodles, some oodles and noodles that was in there, and all I can remember, it was a light blue cover, and it was called vegetable noodles, but it
Oh,
was
that's a good one.
but it was spicy. But they don't have them out here.
Girl,
I haven't found them on Amazon or anything. I can't find them.
listen, I ain't lying to you. There was a California vegetable soup and a hot and spicy soup, vegetable soup in the prison. I've been looking for that thing out here and ain't found it yet.
Okay,
I've been
so
on
I'm not
Amazon.
crazy. So I'm not crazy.
No,
So
I've
you
been
know
on
what I'm
Amazon.
talking about. You know.
There's something in them soups, bro. I don't know what it is, but I've been looking for it. Like it's a hot and spicy little soup.
Yup. I want that
Vegetable
so
soup.
bad.
I want that thing so bad, man. I'm
Me
still
too.
looking for it. I said, this what I said. I say, this what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to the prison and visit somebody and buy me a lot of them soup.
And get one of them. I'm trying to tell you,
Right.
because it is that I used to order that one all the time. And what's crazy is sometimes the women wouldn't even eat the soup. They would just use the package because it was spicy, just to make, whatever we're gonna make for that day, or whatever. Like they just used it for the spice. Prison survival mode. I've learned how to survive because of that.
That's right. Let's get a little personal.
Oh,
listen, when I was in prison, I messed with a lot of women inmates. I'm gonna be real with you. I messed with a lot of women inmates, lieutenants, captains, classification officers. I messed with a lot of them, right? I shot some game, bro. I got what I needed up in there. I had cell phones, I had everything. But listen, man, you gotta admit though, now coming from an officer's perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
When an inmate coming at you like that, man, you kind of, even though you got your career on the line and there's boundaries and you cannot cross the line here and there, but there are some inmates in there that make you think about it. Now tell the truth. It's some inmates in there that make you look at them, you be like, boy, that boy on point.
Yeah, it was like some of them in there, like real, built and everything. I'm like, wow. And he would have like a nice personality, but it wasn't nothing to like jeopardize my job though. But they would have because they they working out all the time. So they know they walking around and they would have their shirts off or in the yard or doing whatever. But it was never like, I never like looked and kind of like lusted over one. But they were some nice looking men in there, and they're human too. They just happen to be in a bad situation. That's all.
Now let me ask you this: did you, as an officer, always see them as inmates, or did at some point you was like, these just people that made mistakes, man?
When I first went in there, I had to set the tone, so I couldn't go in there as like no softy, but I didn't go in there to try to put them down either. I was just just try to be myself and maneuver. So I treated them as such. They taught us not to. But I treated them as such. Now, if you did something and you crossed the line, then now you get a different side of me. But if you ain't really do that, then I was never that. That's not even the type person I am at all. Period. That's not even my personality. So I couldn't even go in there and be like, like, nah, I didn't have to do that. I go in there and, hey, who's supposed to do this? Oh, you the one? All right, can you do that? Yeah, who? Oh yeah, like it was everything was cool.
I got you.
Yeah.
So did you ever have to lock somebody or write a disciplinary report?
Yes, like my second day there, this this big dude just wouldn't lock in, and he got up, and he's like charging me, but he didn't really want me. He was just like making a stand because he was mad about something. But him charging me scared me so bad because he had to. I mean, every muscle in his body you could see. And I'm like, oh my God, like I said, it's my second day there. I'm like, I don't know if he is he gonna hit me because he mad. Like I didn't know, how to carry it. But then they, they tell you, they, teach you like, yo, stop, like, be stern, like make sure you tell them to give a distance or whatever. And he gave that distance. And when he did that, it made me feel like, all right, he didn't cross this distance. So now, I got to call the people down saying, he's like, I'm just not locking in. I'm like, all right, that's fine. Well, I have to do this. I'm calling them down and blah, blah, blah. And then like we handled it. And so I had to write him up. But the way he first charged at me, I thought that was about to be my last day. I was like, oh my God, I don't know what this guy's about to do. But he ended up not doing nothing to me though. But you just something like that, you just don't know. Like you don't know what somebody's mental is, unfortunately, you know what I mean? And he was mad about something that happened from the shift before. Now I just came on the shift and he was still in that same mindset. So I had to end up having to deal with whatever that, was going on. But I wrote a couple things. I wrote a couple things out while there though, but it wasn't too bad.
Now let me ask you this. Like with even that incident, like that's putting your life in jeopardy. Are you guys
Mhm.
properly trained in the academy to handle this? I know about the distance part because even I used it on an officer that was coming out of the academy. He was walking up on me, Gingy, and my other best friend Mia while we was on the canteen, and he said to me, he came up saying, "Yo, get out of the canteen line, get out of the canteen line." I mean, he was coming up like he wasn't giving no space, and
Right.
I remember I did this. I say, wait a minute, don't walk up on me. I'm not your child and I'm not your wife. You do that wherever you do it at, but don't walk up on me.
Come
And
on,
he
man.
stopped. He say, man, I apologize. That's what they treat us in the academy. Do they
Yep.
treat y'all to deal with us like that?
Yes. Yes.
And they treat y'all to project y'all voice in a way that's supposed to provoke fear in us?
Yes. Yes. They
Wow.
they they make you they teach you to, talk to them a certain way, be a certain way, like be stern. But but sometimes, like to me, I just felt like some things were like bully tactics to me, and I and that's not my style. Like I'm like, if I don't have to do that, I'm not gonna do it. But the things that they trained us to do was total opposite when we got there. Like
Mm-hmm.
half of the things I didn't, in that little bit of time that I was there, I didn't even have to do. But you do have to get trained to, do those things because it is incidents that can happen. I'm sure if I was there long enough that I might have would have experienced some things like that. But the little bit of time I was there, I didn't. But yeah, they train you for the worst. But I guess you hope for the best.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They,
And then the thing about it, they train you guys to come at her so hard, but at the
yes.
end of the day, once you realize, hey, I'm in this little, I'm in their house. They got to be here and everything. I don't want to
Yep.
come at them like this. I don't want to disrespect their
Right.
space, and then I'm gonna do my 8 and hit the gate, and they still got to be here. I don't want to make a
Yep.
bad name for myself,
Yep.
cause we'll respect you. You feel what I'm saying? When you good to us, we
Yep.
got your back. You
Yep.
know, and,
Yep.
and, and even when they got your back, when another inmate trying you, we'll jump in. We'll
Yep.
take care of that inmate for you.
Yep. And
So
that's
the,
and that's how they were. And they even like talked to, like when my accident had happened, they even said stuff to the inmate, said stuff to the officers like, how Hamilton doing, because it was on the news. They like, how Hamilton doing, because they respected me because I respected them. So they had like, a little soft spot for me, so to say, because I was cool to them. Like I'm not here to make y'all day hard. I'm gonna do my 8 and skate. Y'all do what y'all supposed to do, and we gonna have a good 8-hour day while we on my shit. And that's
that's
it. That's
right.
all. You know.
Hey, so Did you see any of the officers that were in relations with the males? Like, did you ever observe any of that?
I've heard of it, but I never observed it myself.
You
I've
never
heard.
observed. Did you observe any relationships amongst the guys? Like, was there any? You know
I've
how in
heard.
the girl, you ain't see it.
I've never seen it. I've always heard stories, but I've never personally seen it. I've heard.
Nobody shank. You
See, I'm so,
you didn't see nobody, no fights or no shanking, no fights
I
or no
just
shanking.
I just missed a fight. I never seen the guys in the male prison fight. In the female
Oh wow.
prison, somebody fought, and I was out on a trip, and so I didn't. I just missed it. And the crazy thing is, where I would always sit at that same spot every day, that's where they fought at. So it's like
Mm.
I'm glad I wasn't there because, like I said, I'm in a chair. I'm in my wheelchair. I was probably like set on the around the round tables. I might have would have got hurt. So I'm kind of glad I never had to really witness to be involved like
Right.
around something like that, so to say.
I got you. So, what are the biggest challenges you face working in that male institution?
Nothing.
Okay,
It wasn't bad. I can't say it was bad at all. The
that's
inmates
what's up.
was nice to me, and I, you know what I'm saying, I was cool to them. It was real cool.
Now, being that you've been in both places, worked at the males and did time at the females, what would you say that can help better inmates that's coming out? You know, what ways you saw that from the males institution or the females that can help a person when they're coming out of the institution, that the institution need to do a little bit more better when it comes to inmates?
I feel like it's almost like they're throwing them out to the wolves. Like when they're going back into society, especially if you don't have that support system. A lot of people that I even spoke to, I still have somebody that I actually communicate there that I'm still really really cool with. She comes home in some few years down the line, and she's like, I'm so scared to come home. Like I'm scared to come home because she's been in there. It's going to be like 17 or 20 years. Because she doesn't know, like she doesn't have anybody. She doesn't know what to do, and it's like I don't know what type of help that they do give because I was on the help of the support side. You know what I mean? So I never really found out like the help that they give for the people that don't have that support. I think they like help them get their driver's license when they're getting that before they're getting out, like 6 months or 9 months before they get out. They start to help them with different things, like they getting the driver's license and they taking the test, and maybe they might help them live in like a house if they don't have somewhere to go, like maybe a home, a group home, or some type of home and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. But um, other than that, you know, I'm pretty sure like it does feel like you probably being thrown to the wolves, especially if you in there for a long period of time because you do get institutionalized. I was institutionalized in a year, so it can't like it. Oh man, you bringing me back. You brought me back to the times.
Yeah, man. Let me ask you something. What is the difference in the educational programs
For the male and female,
for the male and female? Like, what did they have educational wise for in or classes for the males compared to the female?
I'm not sure what they even had for the females because I didn't have to take any classes, so I didn't really dive into that. I was
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure out what I needed to do to get on parole, like to go when I go to the parole board to look good. So I never really focused on what classes that they had to do. And for the
Right.
males part, I wasn't there to get acquaintance to like what was going on. I wasn't
Right.
there long enough to really figure out like everything that was going on with the males. So I'm not too sure about the educational side.
Well, I ain't gonna hold you up no longer. I appreciate you. We appreciate you coming on and
Thank
spending
you.
that time with us. And again, I want everybody to know that she do have a story, a very powerful story that's on my podcast channel. If you will go to At Launch Into the Deep on my podcast, it tells how she went from being a former correctional officer to an inmate due to a tragic accident that happened. Very innocent accident, something we do every day, something very common we all do. I'm not going to go into details. If you want to know anything about it or watch that video, go to my podcast channel At Launch Into the Deep and check it out. Hey, also, she got some merch if you want to show them your merch and tell them a little bit about that.
Yes, I have.
And tell them how to get it. Tell them how to get that.
I was going to say, the way this is the logo. I don't have any more of these hats, but I do have snap caps right now, but this is the logo. And you can get the merch on my Instagram page or hit me up on TikTok and, let me know what you want and I ship them out to you. I don't have a website right now. And I know people probably think I'm like, man, I don't trust it. I'm not like that.
What's your handlers?
Danita Applebaum, Danita _Applebaum.
That's your TikTok?
That's my TikTok. And my Facebook is Danita Hamilton, DNITA Hamilton. And then my Instagram is _Nita Strong, NITASTRONG _. So that's where you can find me at.
Now, everybody, man, y'all go over there and y'all follow her channel and everything. She gonna start telling her story, so y'all gonna hear more about her as she get acclimated to the channel and how to present a story out there. Man, you have a blessed one. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, now you be blessed.
Thank you.